Hello everyone and welcome back to Bendy and the Dark Arrival. We are still here. We just met Henry. He's still around here. Now we're gonna meet subject 418. Whoever he might be. Alright, not important I will say. Just an inkling playing a banjo. Early original. On contraband. Oh. Is that another subject? What open? I don't need them. What the hell? Okay. Milk? Okay. Let's see this memory. Oh yeah, I got engine oil. Never looked at it. A tin of engine oil, usually stored near a garage. Many road trip and Sunday drive benefited from this. A carton of milk for growing up strong and healthy. Add some chocolate for a snack enjoyed by young and old. Okay, my hand. Vanish, flow, and fast travel. Okay, yeah, those are our abilities. Oh, gee, no. Oh, that's the keeper.
Down the hollow darkness, from the wretched abyss, a savior comes at last.
Wilson?
Rest yourself, Audrey. You're still weak. The keepers can be relentless to strangers. But there's nothing to fear as long as I'm with you. You're safe now.
You did this to me. You brought me here. Turned me into this thing. This doesn't make sense. I've never done anything to you.
Open your eyes and look around you. None of this makes sense. Drawn walls, nightmarish creatures, an ancient studio that died out almost 30 years ago. It's all fiction, utter nonsense. And yet, in here, it exists. It breathes. It flourishes. Reality, guided by its master's pen. The foundation for a new reality. We can bleed into our own. Just think of it. Anything we create in here, we can release out there. But first, this world must be controlled, made safe. These things, these angels and demons, are they really life? Or are they stains. Old mistakes ready to be cleansed away for newer, greater things.
What do you want from me?
I need your help to save my father's life.
What?
What?
This is our start. We'll talk more once we're safely inside.
There's a father involved? Your father. Okay. Chapter 5, The Dark Arrival. Oh, now we are getting the title prop. Get out of your ass.
Stay close. This place isn't as safe as it once was.
So what we have learned... Alright, so what we have learned is... What we have learned? I don't know what we have learned. We have learned absolutely shit. Well then, Audrey is Ink Demon herself. And Wilson is trying to cure his father? That happened. These bastards. Okay, let's just keep going then. Where the hell did Wilson go? Oh, memo. Old Track 77 is a quiet place these days. Ever since the terrible cat crash a few years back, people don't like to hang around. Too many strange things keep happening on this platform. Last week, one of the railmen told me they had reports of some train going through that wasn't on the schedule. There were figures standing on the car, staring through the window, but it never stopped to let anyone off. Just kept on going straight through. Some say it was Silver Lane Express, the train that crashed. Kitty Thompson. Alright, this is just a simple ghost story, nothing extraordinary. Somebody tells me I should not step on the railway. Let him go. They look human. No way they're mechanical. Never mind. Nah, they're human. Never mind. Alright, I'm just opening up places. Nothing of importance there. Sorry about that.
The demon's evil continues to spread. This world has begun to shudder.
Be quiet.
What did you say?
Nothing. It was nothing.
Ink Demon is finally playing his
Almost there.
cards right.
Just a quick stop. Won't take but a moment.
Yeah, no, he's gonna kill us. Those things affect us too. He's definitely going to kill us.
The subject will stand in the designated location. Lethal object detected. The subject will submit all weapons for further screening. Disarm now.
Alright, no, I should not do that. Oh, there's a literal gun over here.
Remain still for examination. The subject is cleared for entry.
Alright, I can't grab my weapon.
Welcome to the civilized world. How do you like my signal towers? They nullify the Ink Demon's powers so he cannot pass them. I wish I could say I invented
It would be lovely if I deactivated them.
at the Gent Corporation had a demon problem of their own long ago.
Oh, hello there. Are you human? No, you're not. You're just animatronic. Oh, look at that bullshit. That looks amazing.
And now, my dear, if you'll excuse me, I have a lot to prepare. We'll talk later, I promise. Besides, you must be very tired. A quick rest will do you good. Betty will show you to your room. She's my housekeeper, among other things.
You never actually killed the ink demon, did you?
No, he's too powerful to destroy. So we sealed him away, trapped him in a different form. One that was smaller, harmless.
Bendy.
It was a fitting prison, although he seems to have found a way to free himself. But enough talk. We'll deal with that soon enough.
There's some nice fresh blankets all laid out for you. You'll be dreaming in no time.
Wait, Wilson? One more thing. If you needed my help, why didn't you just ask?
Would you have believed me?
Come along.
That is
No
a
more
nice-
dawdling. This way now.
That is a nice thing to say, actually. Yeah, fuck you. I would have believed you in a second.
You're here at last. It's so exciting, finally having you with us.
Why though?
To give you some bearings, we're currently standing in the south wing. Wilson's laboratory is downstairs. And then there's the north wing.
We don't talk about the North thing, huh?
The ink demon got in there a while ago, and ever since, we've had to keep the north wing locked up tight. I'm afraid it's fallen into ruins by now. All those juicy, lovely books gone to waste. Only keepers go there these days, and they'll tear you apart limb from limb if Wilson isn't with you. So, mind your distance, and you'll be just fine.
So why the hell are keepers so powerful entities following Wilson for? Is Wilson God here? I really wondered about that.
It's not very often I have guests to look after, especially one I can actually talk to. Almost everyone here either can't speak or they're completely mad.
I understand why Wilson likes you. You have a very bombastic personality, maid.
All right, here we are. Best room in the
Oh,
house.
Betty, yeah.
You should see where I sleep. Ugh. But this room, oh, just perfect. I saw to every detail. Bed is clean. The bathroom is on the left. Sorry about the stains. I did try my best to get them out. Did you have any questions?
Is it always night here?
It's always dark, if that's what you mean. For as long as I can remember.
Are you very old?
No. As far as I understand it, I'm something quite new. Although, I didn't turn out the way I was supposed to. One in a long line of failed experiments. But Wilson will keep trying.
And do you trust Wilson?
This is the realm of the ink demon. The shadow hangs over us all. I don't trust anyone. But Wilson takes care of me, keeps me safe. He once said I remind him of something he called his mother. Tell me, is that a good thing?
I
Where
don't
it's
know.
from?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure
I
either.
don't think I ever had one.
That might be a kink, but
Well,
I don't know about that.
No matter. Now, I was told to make sure you get some sleep once you got here. So get nice and comfy and relax. I left something on the table that might just help you nod off. It's my own recipe. Works very fast. Just follow the instructions
Sure.
carefully.
Thanks, Betty.
Okay.
Of course. If you need anything else, I'll come straight away. I'm always up.
Yeah, sure. Okay, why we, babu? Alright. The Milk and the Maiden. Oh yeah, I hate myself. The Milk and the Maiden, Volume 1 by Sir Wilton Moore. Chapter 1, The Dangerous Forest. Once upon a time in a faraway land there lived a mug of cheese. It was not an ordinary mug of cheese that you would find in any home or kitchen of this age. No, this mug of cheese was a distant descendant of one of the three grand Falcon kings. The same kings who had charged on horseback to defend their capital city during the unforgettable conquest of the previous century, to which these Falcon kings had hailed from. The mug was unsure, but still there was honor and courage in his heart. His family line herald of deeds long past had forever changed the course of the stoop of history. Did he have a name? Of course, all mugs of cheese have names. This common knowledge, just as every fruit bat is really named Stanley. What? The mug of cheese was named Rictor the Cracked. What a name! I hear you say, cracked indeed. The mug of cheese bears no damage that I can see. Fall silent, you small-minded bass, for there lies our intriguing story. Let us begin at the beginning. It was hot. It was a hot winter day in the forest. One of these days where everything was dull brown. The lake was still, the bird had shut up, and the trees were but stuck in their overcast sky. For long pine that skimmed the cloud above like painter's brush. It was on this day Mr. Darrell Mouse was in a hurry. He has just been named the Worman of the Year by society brethren that lived under the old church, and it was customary for the honoree to bring a fine port wine cheese to the ceremony. There were only hours to locate some precious cuisine. Unfortunately, Mr. Dabbled Mouse knew exactly where to find it, the dark cellar below the governor's castle. Unfortunately, as he approached the loose plank of wood in the old wall, he failed to realize that heavy rain that had come during the night had passed moisture into the plank, making it heavier than usual. Thus, when he pushed the plank with all his might, he lifted it enough to push his body only halfway, but his strength just couldn't contend with the weight of the plank, and his arm failed. The plank snapped down, crushing him flat. Ooh. After all, this story is not about Mr. Double Mouse. Or had you forgotten the mug of cheese already? I can see how you might connect the two. Mr. Double Mouse was after all looking for cheese, and we were talking about a mug of cheese just before. Sadly, I must inform you that there is no relation between Rector the Cracked and the rodent, who was now nothing more than a smushed cuts inside the wall. Except that there is, for his death, Mr. Devil Mouse that started all the trouble. You see, when things die, they tend to smell. That's just what Mr. Devil Mouse did. But that's not all. His body, pinned again between the outside and the inside of the wood wall, had made perfect passage for hot winter wind. The wind therefore carried the stench of this decaying mouse carcass deeper into the governor's home, like snake twisting wisp of terror. The smell settled into a little tavern near the country yard of the castle. Here soldiers would spend many long hours there when there was no bloodlust to soothe with battle. Strong ales and red meat filled the menu from back to front at this rustic medieval greasy spoon. Mostly the customers came to look upon the barmaiden Maxie, who was actually named Rita. Rita, by far best looking creature in the governor's country. There was a beautiful dear woman just over the hill, but no one knew that. But by the day, Rita scrubbed her tavern so clean that you could eat off it, which was unfortunate, as this place was a place you indeed would be eating, since it was a tavern. By the night, she served her customers with charm, grace, and mostly with drinks. Did I mention Rita was married? Well, I'm mentioning it now. Rita was married. Her husband's name was James. He didn't do much until he died. The smell of Mr. Terrible Mouse knocked him flat, and that, my friend, was that. Oh dear, the story has barely begun. Already we have killed two major characters. Needless to say, Rita was distressed by the whole thing, but 20 or so minutes later she realized she couldn't more forever and went to buy some cheese. Ah yes, don't worry, dear reader. This time the mention of cheese will probably guide us to meeting our focal hero of the tale. Also, this is a good time to start a new chapter. Chapter 2, a new chapter. Okay, that's just a joke in a nutshell. Rita entered the cheese shop with her guns blazing. I'm speaking metaphorically, of course, by which I mean she entered the cheese shop quite determined to buy some cheese. This was because just the night before, her husband Jane was taking note of the weird smell in the room. She had invented a delicious new concoction, the cheddar cider, and it was sure to be hit with her patrons. After all, the governor's country only had two exports, cheese and grapes, and she couldn't possibly make a drink from grape but back to the cheese shop scene. Rita knocked on the counter loudly with her fist, causing nearby cats to do absolutely nothing. As cats do, from behind the wall she heard a stir as someone was crashing through the piles of cheese to make their way towards her. Emerging gloriously from the yellow curtain, an old man came into view, and he was the giant stature with it. He was giant in stature, with a long grey beard bobbing along, and stuck in within his beard were all manner of cheeses, crumbs, and wedges, wrapped tightly within his hair. But yet he never held more than he held even more cheese on the ropes pulled across his chest, with loops of provolone linked like sausages over one shoulder. His eyes were big, and his ears were bigger still. A smile of kindness erupted from his face as he locked eyes with Rita. My, the Kurds are kind to me this hour. Hello and welcome, he bellowed. Rita bowed low and promptly began to cry. The shop owner looked at her and perplexed. What did I say wrong? The barmaid snuffled and snooted and finally answered, Forgive me, for my husband has just died and I'm out of Swiss. I'm going to pause now in the story and ask myself why Mr. Devil went into cellar in the governor's house for cheese. If there was cheese shop nearby, I think it's best that we overlook this glaring problem in the plot, don't you? Now back to the story at hand. Rita purchased a large amount of cheese from the shop owner. She brought the cheese wheel and cheese melt and cheese slices. She bought the cheese whistles and cheese bread. She brought cheese paper and cheese sandwich. She brought so much cheese, in fact, that she had lost track of all that she had obtained, and she just dumped all the fromage into a large burlap sack for the return journey to the tavern. Goodbye, Rita, the shop owner called as he waved farewell. Goodbye, Daniel, as she called back. His name was Murray, by the way. The overburdened by her treasures, Rita made her way home, following the main road to the castle. But as it always happened, the road was under repair. A man with skinny mule was plowing up the dirt so that he could put down new cobblestone. Four of his associates were standing watching him. The job would only take few years to finish, but Rita was in a hurry. So she followed the detour sign that told her to take different roads to her left. Unfortunately, no one could read in the governor's country, so she went right instead. This mishap took her deep into the forest where absolutely nothing of interest happened, except something of interest did happen. As she tottered on the forest, her sack of cheese weighing her down, muttering complaints all the way, little did she know that danger lay just ahead. This danger was cunning and dangerous, and had one of those out-of-place eyebrow hair that drives you nuts when you are talking to someone who has one. The danger we call Bernard, a big ugly lizard man who wears a blue cloak. Bernard didn't often have visitors in his house. This was because he lived outside. So he was rather fond of human flesh, which made him very unpopular. So obviously you can see the drama unfolding here. The beautiful but tired Rita, huffling and puffing up the winding path as she approached a certain tomb, Brennan watching him from behind a nearby tree, licking his lip. Oh, the tension is tense, is it not? At this point in time, we pause again to ponder all the possibilities that could happen now in our story. Two characters have died already. Surely the third one wouldn't hurt anything. Are you perhaps just reading the story because you want to see who will get the axe next? You are little warped. Do you know that? Well then, let's see what happens next. Bernard stepped from behind his hiding place, his eyebrow hair gleaming in the fading sun. Dear madam, why must you pass through so fast? He called with his eyes glimmering. I must go home, Bernard, because for one, it's getting late and I have customers to serve, and second, because you eat people, Rita replied. Oh, poppycock, balderdash, cock wolf. I won't hear these lies against my character, he distressed, for I, Bennett, the big ugly lizard man who wears blue cloak, have completely reformed myself. Rita squinted suspiciously at him. You have? Bernard put a hand to his heart. I have. I no longer plow and pounds. I won't attack or pounce. I will not kill or maim or tear. I won't crush even bit you anywhere. I promise I won't devour anymore. Oh my gosh, you have become a bore. If you aren't going to be the danger in this story, then I've come all the way with 100 pounds of cheese for nothing, Rita grumbled. She posted her sack further up her shoulder and turned with an angry grunt, but Bennett waved after her in a panic. Wait, it's all a ruse. I said to eat you, dear woman, I swear it, he cried. It's all a trick, you see, a new angel. It worked on some guy yesterday. Oh, please stay. Rita sighed, her strength just about to gone from a long adventure she had taken since she left her home in that morning. She turned back to face Brennan. All right, she said, but your part in the story better lead to some unexpected turn of events. Oh, it will, Brennan clapped and wiggled his clawed finger in motion to her draw nearer. Just wait until the next chapter. Chapter 3, the next chapter. All looked quite dire for Rita. Brennan had her within his grasp. Surely it would be just a mere moment before his jaws collapsed upon her head. Oh, what a horrible end for Rita. Needless to say, I am worried for her. But as the luck would have it, miles and miles away, 20 years earlier, something amazing happened. 2 mugs of cheese, Gouda and mozzarella, welcomed their first son into the world. I don't think I need to tell you his name. It was Dave. No one liked Dave. After that, the second son came forth, Rector the Crack, just called Richter at that time. Richter spent his early life stealing cowbells and putting them on skunks. This way, people always knew when danger was nearby. Needless to say, Richter was one of the smart mug of cheese. But all not remained perfect forever, and suddenly the great skunk famine began. Richter found his world in array, and he sought a new purpose. Unfortunately, there was an opening in the governor's country for an adventurer at that time. Since he was descendant of the 3 grand Felden kings, he was boosted to the head of the line. Because as we are all quite aware, even in old times, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Thus the adventures of Richter began. He braved the deep dungeons, he slayed the great beasts, he climbed the highest mountain peaks, he sailed around the world despite the fact he didn't own a boat. Richter was truly a stuff of legends. But did I mention the curse? Yes, fair readers, there's a curse. Fiendish and terrible curse. One morning while Richter was in governor's country, he came upon a witch named Witch. This witch had pulled a pound cake from her oven, where she had proceeded to start ingesting it. Right there on the front walk of her home, at once Richter knew this creature was evil, eating the cake in this early morning without ice cream. This was truly a fiend that needed to be vanquished. Holy hell, what the hell is happening? I was supposed to play a game. Richter jumped her fence and pulled his sword. Would you like some pound cake? The witch offered. It looked quite delicious. Richter would not let himself be seduced in the early morning cake, so he approached closer with his weapon at her throat. The witch began to sweat with a mouth full of crumbs. I also make mean scorn if you want to wait. No, now no gentleman or gentle mug would refuse a good scorn. So Richter withdrew his sword and patiently waited for the witch to create these new buttery pastries. But what he didn't know was that the witch accidentally had bumped her table and had added within a mixture a wild cursed liquid. See? I told you there was a curse. You were feared warned. The moment Richter ate the scorn, he fell into deep sleep. The witch, baffled, finished her cake and proceeded to get a civil service job in nearby town. As the year rolled by, all that remained of the witch's house was carried off by elves, and her garden became overgrown. This left only Richter, asleep in the forest with no end to his dreaming in sight. But story thankfully does not end here. As luck would have it, the giant man covered in cheese with big eyes and big ears wandered past the sleeping mug. In case you've forgotten, this was cheese shop owner Murray, sometimes called Bill, unable to resist a cheese of any kind, even the mug of the stuff. Murray took Richter into his shop and set him on the shelf. Here Richter sat for many years, until this very fateful day. You see, in Richter's haste to gather up all the cheese she had swept a few things that did not belong to her into the sack as well. Beside them included the cat on the counter, the personalized pen, Murray's sketchbook. I think she'll be hearing about that one eventually. And the last but not in the least, Richter himself, still deeply asleep. Now that our two stories have come together, let us discover what happened next to Rita and Richter in the climax chapter. Chapter 4, the climax chapter. It was the same hot winter day in the forest, and Mrs. Dabblemouth was finally starting to get concerned. Just down the road, Rita was being drawn forward in almost certainly a bloody and horrific end to her life. Brandon was just a moment from taking her within his lizard jaws and mere hours from trimming his eyebrows. Rita stood there. Rita stood her ground. She was no damsel in distress, but simply a person who was pretty darn tired by this point. She pulled the burlap sack cheese from her body and swung it hard with every last bit of strength she had left her. The ear-shattering crack broke the silent trees as the bag made contact with Brenner's shocked face. His teeth flew in all directions, falling like pebbles to the ground. His eyeballs dislodged and rolled to a nearby stream. His jawbone turned completely around and planted itself back of his head. Barnett ran screaming into the woods, never to be seen again this week. The cries faded and the forest once again felt soft and quiet. A cow walked by. Rita, still standing with her sack outstretched her arms, and stood wide-eyed at what just happened. Surely no cheese in her bag was hard enough for that kind of impact. And she placed her burlap sack on the dirt and peeled it open. She was amazed to find Richter, the mug of cheese, inside, looking quite dazed. He had awakened. The curse was finally lifted. Somewhere behind the desk, a witch looked up and nodded with a smile. But oh dear, Rita, look what was now upon this mug's body. A giant, elegant crack. A very mark of a warrior. His hero's journey was finally completed. Richter the Cracked had emerged. Yes, it is true that Richter really didn't do anything important in the attack on Burnett, just by Richter being where he was at the perfect time, he was saved Rita. These fates were with them. Richter and Rita talked and laughed and ate cheese until the sun went down. Finally, they packed up their picnic and headed back to the tavern, where they met with cheers of excitement. This was mostly because the guys had found out Rita was now single. As the night wore on the early morning of the house, the tavern remained alive in the castle courtyard, singing and dancing and cheddar cider. Oh, what a celebration! But like all parties of such proportion, eventually everybody sobers up and you have to go home. Before long it was dawn. The sun began to rise steadily in the west, marking a fresh adventure on the horizon. Though a wind of new direction began to blow with more steady pace, it scattered across the ground and found its way between the floorboard of the governor's castle. Here, against all odds, it found the barely remaining body of Mr. Devilmouth. The wind carried the stench far beyond the borders of the castle, over the mountains, deep within the dark cave where Evil slept. "What the heck is that smell?" said Evil, awakening with hellfire burning up behind his eyes. Eventually, the news of the great evil spread from town to town until it reached the ears of Richter the Cracked. He polished his sword, gathered some crumbs of bread to store in his mug. Wearing his best expression of courage, Richter once again set out to conquer the day. His story was not yet over. But for now, dear reader, we return to our own lives, so let us end this tale with the closing thought, shall we? Be we cracked or small or even dead, there's always a purpose to where we all are led. Be brave and strong, and lest we forget, fate isn't quite done with any of us yet. Whew. Well then, I hate myself for existing. Well, I'll see you all in the next part. Bye-bye now.